Learn, manage, progress. Learn, manage, progress. Learn, manage, progress. Today, I'm going to take you through how you can set up a business in India. They are mainly classified on the basis of ownership structure, functioning, liability, and rights to the owners. Let's understand the advantages and disadvantages of a business structure for better investment decisions and also to establish a business. First in the list is sole proprietorship. It is the simplest form of company which consists of single owner. This type of business organization is suitable for neighborhood business such as health clinics, house cleaning services, bike mechanic, family business such as Ayurvedic doctors, pawn shop, bookkeeping services, and other corner businesses. One of the main advantage of running a sole proprietorship business is that it is easy to run. There is no difference of opinion that arises from running this type of business since the business is made just by the owner himself. One downside for the owner is that he is unlimitedly liable if any conflicts arise in handling of money. In case of any liability that exceeds the business capital, it has to be recovered from owner's personal assets. Partnership business. It is more complex than sole proprietorship as it involves two or more people in starting a business. It takes the skill of coordinated actions between the partners. The partners should interest a friendly and learning environment in the workplace. The advantage of being in a partnership structure is that liability is shared liability among partners and constitute a better tool of talent. A downside with respect to operations is that there can be a difference of opinion. They don't protect the owners in case of unlimited liability. That's why partnership business resort to incorporation route to protect their business by attracting more funds and making the bonds limitedly liable. Two types of partnership. General partnership. In this setup, all the partners share the unlimited liability. In case of a working partner commits a mistake, it will be vested on each and every partner of the firm. Limited liability partnership. In this type of instrument, where partners have stated clearly in the agreement the roles of each of the partner, personal property cannot be attached to clear the debts of the organization. Corporations. To tackle the risk of unlimited liability and reap tax benefits, owners list their business as corporations. A corporation can be private limited company or a public company. A private limited company has private limited in its name. They are limitedly liable and the total money that can be recovered as a part of recurring debt is limited to all the assets attached to the company only. Personal assets cannot be involved in the recovery process. They are not traded in stock exchanges. Hence, a common investor cannot acquire share in the company. They cannot issue bonds to borrow money from public. If private companies need capital, they are demarcated to raise funds from the private investors or borrow it from banks. Public limited companies. The biggest form of companies around the world belong to this form of organization. When a company makes its share available to the public through an IPO, it becomes a public limited company. It has the suffix public limited or limited in their names. A common investor can buy shares of the companies listed as public from stock exchanges, and the company can raise money from the public through the issues of shares. These companies follow a strict regulatory norm set by market regulators. They are required to publish quarterly results and disclose them to stock exchanges. Public companies must have at least 5 members on their board of directors. Annual general meeting of the company should be made public. Investors can transfer share of public companies from one person to another without restrictions. The price of shares of public companies is decided by supply and demand of shares on the stock exchanges. The major advantage of public company is that they have access to easy access to funds, and they can borrow cheap loans as compared to a private company. The disadvantage of a public company is that it has to follow the strict regulatory norms set by regulators. Also, investors have rights to replace the top company officials from their positions. One person company. It is relatively new and is a form of business organization introduced in 2013. It works as a private company. It can be registered by a single individual, and it only requires a single board member and one director instead of two board members in private limited company. The primary advantage of one person company is that it can be registered by a single person and provide the benefits of limited liability to the business owner. The major disadvantage of OPC is that they cannot raise capital as easily as public company and get cheaper loans. How is one person company different from sole proprietorship? In terms of liability, one person company is limitedly liable, whereas sole proprietorship constitutes unlimitedly liable. In terms of compliance, OPC requires to file annual return and to be audited, whereas sole proprietorship is required to get its account audited only if the turnover exceeds the threshold limit as per Income Tax Act. In terms of taxation, OPC will be taxed in the same way as a company, whereas sole proprietorship will be taxed as an individual. In terms of conversion, one person company will be converted to private limited company if it has an average turnover of rupees 2 crore for 3 years or paid up share capital of over rupees 50 lakh, whereas sole proprietorship remains the same irrespective of turnover. Section 8 Company. It is a non-profit organization registered for the purpose of charity. It is a limited liability organization, but they cannot use suffix limited or private limited in their names. These companies promote charitable activities, arts, sports, research, health promoting activities, religion, environmental protection, and so on. They use their received donations and profits to fulfill their objectives. They are only allowed to distribute the profits for the welfare of social activities. Cooperative society. It is a voluntary association of members working for a common goal of increasing profits of the societies. It works for the benefits of their members. It was established in 1912 under Cooperative Societies Act. A cooperative firm is of limited liability. The liability is limited to the extent of contributed capital of society members. The members are free to enter and exit any time of their will. Joint Hindu family business. It is governed by Hindu law instead of Companies Act. The head of the joint family manages and controls the business, who is called Karta. Karta can take advice and opinions of other members of the family, but only he can make a final decision regarding business. The liability of Karta is unlimited, whereas the liability of other members is limited to the extent of their business assets. Advantage of owning a joint Hindu family business is that it is easy to form, operate, and dissolve. On the downside, it cannot attract funds from outsiders of the family, and also the liability of the main owner will be unlimited.